Hola, buenas tardes. Sean bienvenidos a nuestro webinar Fuentes de Poder programables para tu laboratorio de pruebas. Empezaremos en unos 5 minutos aproximadamente. Buenas tardes. Vamos a dar inicio a nuestro webinar. Esta vez va a ser impartido por el ingeniero Brian Shu de la empresa Preen. Él es el gerente general y cuenta ya con más de 7 años de experiencia en este ramo. Mr. Shu, you can share your screen.
Okay. Can everybody see that? Can everyone see the screen right now?
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay. We're going to start right now?
Yes, you can start.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Brian. We are from Preen. We are the manufacturer of the power supply, AC and DC power supply, and power conditioner, voltage regulator, and UPS product. Here today we are going to have a briefly discuss about the product we offer, and regarding about how to select the right power supply for your application. So this is quite important because the power issue in Mexico, and right now, since like in Mexico have new non-standard and you need a lab testing lab may need a power supply for their testing and to fulfill the standard. So Preen AC Power have been working in the power industry for more than 30 years. And we have about 370 people, and our base is in Taiwan. We have 3 manufacturing facilities. I'm personally, I live in California, so I'm in charge of the US and Mexico and Canada markets. So here, we in Irvine, we have a service center in Irvine, and we have a spare parts. We spare the product. We have a product inventory here. So anything like the power support, or they need a technical support, we will take care of here. And here is the picture of our company. So give you just a very quick review. And upper one is our headquarters, and this is our factory. So let's talk about the power issues may happen in Mexico, and for I believe in a lot like maquiladoras, the manufacturers or factories may have this kind of problem. So some common problem like you can see some transient problem, like sometimes you will see the notch in your grid system, and sometimes called an interrupt. So when your power, sometimes you will see like the power will stop or drop off. Sometimes it's called a sag. It's like the voltage, for example, your grid voltage is 208 or 240 there, but sometimes it's like below the 208, 240. When you measure that, sometimes it's 200 or 190. And sometimes what happens is a sag as well, which means like if your grid voltage is 208, but sometimes it's even higher, maybe go up to 220, or let's call over voltage. The most difficult one is the distortion. So you will see sometimes your power grid is not perfect sine wave, and sometimes you will see the harmonic noise, or you will see the. So all this kind of problem will cause either sometimes if the surge may damage your equipment, and sometimes when the power shortage, you have a CNC machine, and your machine may not be able to work properly or can cut it well. So this kind of grid problems, you may use different solutions. Sometimes you may have to like a voltage, under voltage or over voltage. You can consider to use a voltage regulator, power conditioner. But if you talk about distortion, you may not be able to use the power conditioner or the voltage regulator. You may have to use the frequency converter. And when you have a problem with the interrupting or like a shortage, you may have to use a UPS. So different problems, you may have to use different power solutions for accordingly. And the other situation you may need a power is we are talking about the power you may need is like in the laboratory, because especially when you are doing the standard testing, like in the EMC labs, or you are in the laboratory testing like some scope, or like you are testing the upper bound performance testing, you need a very clean power source that can adjust the voltage and adjust the frequency as well. For example, in Mexico, I believe it's 60 hertz, but usually in the standard, you cannot just test 60 hertz, because the standard maybe asks you to test in 47 to 60 hertz, or upper 10% more, less than 10% more. They want you to test in different power conditions. For the military, they may ask you to test in like 400 hertz or like 350 to 450 hertz. And also for the voltage, you also need to adjust the voltage as well, because a lot of time, like you are testing, sometimes you're testing 208, your test unit is 208, sometimes it's 380, sometimes 480, sometimes at 120. So that's why in the laboratory, they need a adjustable power supply for their testing purpose. So that's different purpose. So the previous, what we talked is about the grid problem. Then this one is more like the testing power requirements. And Preen, we are the company that trying to offer the solutions, especially for the laboratory and for the manufacturers. So that's why we manufacture the AC power supply from small one all the way to very big one. The big one sometimes used in the production lines. They need 200 kVA, 300 kVA, sometimes even bigger. They need 1 mega VA. And DC power supply as well, like a lot of automotive components testing, lighting, car lighting testing, inverter testing, EV related battery testing. They need a DC power source. And in other parts, some other part, we manufacture the power conditioner as well. So the power conditioner is we focus on like industrial, not like I will explain a little bit for this, because a lot of customers come to us. They say, "Oh, we have a computer, and we need to have a UPS." But we don't do that kind of manufacturer, because that kind of the UPS you can easily find on like Amazon or like some like easy to find in the store. What we manufacture is like a larger one. For example, like your CNC machine, you need a UPS. But I believe if you try to use the UPS on, like, let's call it commercial UPS. So there's a big difference between the commercial product and the industrial product. Because commercial product, like a commercial UPS, they don't have, their output frequency is low frequency transformer. So, sorry, they are high frequency transformer. And industrial, they are low frequency transformer. So they have different applications. So for like industrial, usually you have a lot like inrush current, motor type load. So if you are using commercial UPS for your CNC machine or production line, you will be very quickly damaged because of the inrush current, because of reverse current. You will easily damage the UPS. But we only focus on the power conditioner or UPS that focus on the industrial applications, like SMT machine, CNC machines. Okay. So here is our U.S. office, and we located in Irvine, California. We mentioned before, and we are supplying the product for U.S. and Mexico. So we have like inventory here, so that we can support very quick delivery. So let's talk about the start from talking about the testing power supply. So if we want to talk about testing power supply, usually we need to talk about why, as we mentioned, why they need a power supply, because they need to adjust simulate different kind of voltage and frequency. So if you are talking about the single phase one, usually if your testing unit is small one, like a small motor, small appliances, like usually it's about home appliances, about like 3 kVA, below 1 kVA, 2 kVA. So FV-P is one of the product that been widely used in home appliance application, especially for the single phase one, because it can support like wide frequency range from, as we say, 40 to 500 hertz. So 50 hertz, 60 hertz can use be like commercial testing. If you are doing some like a product you are shipping to Europe, you can do 50 hertz testing. And if you are manufacturing some product for military, you can use a 400 hertz. And it also support the surge sag spike testing. So that sometimes the standard will require you to do some and transient testing. So this is a good for pre-compliant tests. Like engineers, they don't need to every time when they design a product, they have to do some pre-compliant test before they send it to the testing lab, because testing lab usually they charge you a lot of money. If there are some problem, they will go back to you and you have to send it again. So that's why we call this is a very good for pre-compliant test, because you can check it out, see if your product design is any bugs or not, any problem before you send it to testing labs. And one thing is that the harmonics very low. Like usually when we see a power supply is good or not, we check the harmonic rate. The lower the better. So you can see this one, the harmonic rate is 0.3%, which means it can be a very, very clean power, output power. And it can support, I think a lot of appliances need to compliant test with 61000-4-11. This one can do the pre-compliant test, okay? And so this is for the, what we say, this is a rack mount one, and bench top can be easily set up in a laboratory. So a lot of non-standard, they may, in the laboratory, they may have this kind of power supply requirement. And what we are going to explain a little bit is about the AFV product. So right now, nowadays, there are more and more high power requirements. For example, if you are like a transformer manufacturer, you are a compressor manufacturer, or you are big motor manufacturers, usually you need a high power supply. High power, like what we call high power usually start from 10 kVA, we call high power. And we are specialized in high power. So sometimes you say, oh, my testing unit is only about 1 kilowatt, we don't need high power. But a lot of our customers, they use this because they use in a production line. So they are going to test, for example, they are testing like 20, 50, 100 testing stations. So they use one of this kind of central power supply to supply all these testing stations at one time. So even we have a customer like M-Phase, they are manufacture microinverter for like 300 watts, but they use like a 30 kVA, 45 kVA unit, because they're doing some burn-in testing for 50 to 100 units at one time. And this one is very unique in the market, because usually like our other supplier, they don't do output transformer. But this one, we designed with the output transformer because we want the power supply more robust. So the customer, if they are using for some motor type testing, appliance test like laundry, like washing machine, they can use this. Because if you are using the non-transform output transformer one, it's your power supply may damage very easily. So that's why a lot of customers come back to us. Oh, before we were using some other brand of power supply, but after 1 year it's damaged, but it's very expensive to repair the unit. But for ours, they use for like 10 years. It's still working, not any damage. But they ask, why is that? I say because we are different design. We have an output transformer for protecting, especially for that kind of applications. And the other good thing is that we can custom output voltage. So most of the AC power supply manufacturer, their standard output voltage is 0 to 300 line to neutral. And in other words, 0 to a three-phase will be 0 to 520 volts, line to line. But some manufacturer, like we have a customer, like some Mexico customer, they need 600 volts, line to line. So this one we can build in with a modified output voltage. So let's see here. If you are using some other brand supplier for like 60 kVA, you may have to parallel 3 units of that with a master slave structure. But with Preen, because we design with a single unit machine, and we have we have a better experience in a large kVA. So we design with the 60 kVA and with one single machine. So the advantage of that is that if you design one single machine with 60 kVA, the mean time between failure, we call it mean time MTBF, will be better, which means the reliability will be better as well. And it's much easier to set up because if you are using master-slave structure, you need to have a lot of wires, cables, and settings you need to set up for your product. But for Preen, you can just, when they come, it's 60 kVA already. You don't have to, it's easier to move around as well. And the other advantage is that if you're using like, if you are going to use something like 400 volts, like I say, like 600 volt 929 or 690 volt 929, like Canada, they need 690 volt 929. They for other supplier, you may need to add on a boot up transformer after the power supply to put up from 0 to 300 volts, put up to 0 to 400 volts. But for Preen, you can, when you order, you can tell us, oh, we need 0 to 400 volts, and we will build in with the product, and it will output 400 volts directly. So the one very important thing is that the regulation, because if you are using external transformer, most of the time, not only a lot of connections and size issue, but the most people they concern is the regulation, because on the second end of the transformer there is no regulation. So, but the advantage of built-in inside the machine is that when you set up like 400, we are output 400 with a feedback control, so it will be regulated in 1% very precisely. Okay, that's why a lot of customers they use for their production line usage. You don't want, if you supply more production line, the voltage will drop, right? So you set up 400, but some other stations is like a 380 or 391. So it's difficult for you to control that. So this is a very important thing for the regulation output. And the good thing is that if you are going to supply for the whole of your power plant, multiple stations, you may need a very big one. So yeah, a lot of customers told us that, oh, we don't need that big, 2 megabit is too big. But recently we got a lot of requirements. It's about 1 mega, 800 kVA very normally, because they want to supply the whole power layer facility power. So in this case, we can manufacture one single unit with a large kVA without a parallel connected. So you will see the big breakers in here, big transformer inside the machine, then big power module inside the machine. So that's our strength and our advantage. And we are very specialized in this kind of high kVA applications. So I believe like some people, you may see the other brand of the power supply before, like but sometimes you may need DC, sometimes you need AC DC together. But I just want to tell you, for most of the time, if you are going to use this AC DC, I don't recommend to use like every DSP can do AC and DC. But if you want to do some like a CC mode, usually the DC is for CV mode only. If you want to do some CP mode, CC mode, I recommend you have the power supply separated, which means you have AC and DC. Unless you want you want to test some standard, not ask you to have the AC and DC, plus together. Okay, so here is the comparison. And I believe Preen, we have very good warranty period, like 2 years warranty, and can support the customer better. And the other product we want to explain a little bit is the frequency converter. So most people they confusing about what the frequency converter can do. So usually frequency converter is used for the customer. They need to change the frequency. For example, like they want your grid facility is 60 hertz, but you have some equipment from Europe or from China. Their frequency is 50 hertz. So you want to convert from 60 to 50 hertz. And sometimes it's because you have some testing that need to run in 400 hertz. So you need to convert from 60 hertz to 400 hertz, especially like in airport. Most of airplane is 400 hertz. So that's why the ground power unit, they all are 400 hertz. So you need to convert from 60 hertz to 400 hertz. That's in all the military and commercial airport. So this is the product we call AFC. That's very good in that. Frequency converter is different with the UPS. UPS will do more like a backup power, but the UPS doesn't do like frequency change. So a lot of people, they confuse about these two type of products, but I want to give you more solid understanding. So AFC is a frequency converter, but it also not only a frequency converter, but also the good thing is that it's also built in because it's totally convert from AC to DC and DC to AC. So the AFC machine, we also equip with the adjustable voltage. So which means you can use the AFC machine to adjust the voltage and adjust the frequency as well. And so you see the knobs on the front panel. This is for the front panel adjustment. You can easily switch, adjust like 208, 120 different voltage. But AFC is non-programmable. So if you need programmable, you have to choose the AFV product, not AFC, instead of AFC product. AFC is usually for the production line or in the laboratory. They need something like change the voltage and also change the frequency. Before, a lot of people, they are using the variable transformer for changing the voltage. So let me show you how most of the laboratory they are using right now. Most of the laboratory they are using, I think 99% of 90% of the laboratory in they are still using this way. They use a variable transformer to adjust the voltage. And when they need to change the frequency, they have a big motor generator. And that generator will generate like 62 different frequency hertz and use. I believe like most of people, they laboratory still using this way. But there are some concerns for this kind of application. Before you may be able to do that, but right now, a lot of the problem will come up. When you see the grid voltage is have a noise, the variable transformer will pass the noise to your testing unit as well. So if a lot of harmonic noise here, you will see a lot of harmonic noise here. And the other thing is that when the grid voltage drops, like original is 480, but it dropped to 470, your output original is 110, but you will drop as well, drop to 105. And so there is no frequency stability or no voltage regulation on this one. It's when you are starting some load, you cannot control your voltage well. But the problem is that before they may be able to do that, but right now a lot more and more manufacturers or laboratory or standard, they require you have good regulation on your power supply. Because if you don't have a regulation, your testing report doesn't count. You need to have a certain regulation. So that's why a lot of the testing standard right now, when you see that, they will tell you you have to meet the power input power requirements. They have some input power requirements on there, so you can take a look at that. Okay, and the other things is good for a very good example. This is like NFC is not only used for changing the frequency. Sometimes in Mexico, a lot of factories, they have this kind of problem with we call a harmonic problem in their facility. So when you use like a scope or power analyzer to measure your facility grid system, you will see, sometimes you will see like this. So you will see, oh, a lot of noise in there. And what happened? Why is that? Because a lot of the machines in your factory, in your facility, they will generate harmonic noise. Like a motor CNC or like spider machine or like SMT machine, they will all generate harmonic. But those harmonic will back to make your grid system very, we call dirty or very noisy. But what happened were this so what happened? These things that most people they think it's not, maybe it's not a big deal, but for some, when you got some problems in the past, it's like, oh, I turn on this machine. When I turn on the A machine, but the B machine cannot work. When I turn on C machine, but the D machine cannot work. That's because of the harmonic noise. Most of the time, it's harmonic noise. Because when you turn on that machine, you will generate a lot of harmonic noise and make the other machine cannot work. So that's why in our experience, we will recommend a lot of customers, if they have some machines, they will generate a lot of harmonic noise, you can put the AFC in front of it. Because the AFC is totally AC to DC and DC to AC, it will isolate the harmonic noise. So that's why this have been used in the Apple production line for many years. And this is how their grid system before and after they use that, they have way much better. And they can manage a lot of testing systems, rely on very good quality of the grid system. If you don't have a very good grid system, it will make your measurements very inaccurate. And for the AFC, it's a very economic frequency converter or a power supply source. So that's we dominate the market in the production line, because we understand the requirements in the production line. They don't need very sophisticated function features. Sometimes they just need a very easy adjust the voltage and frequency machine. So I can say, like, in production line, in the production field, we are the #1 branding in the world, and because we manufacture a lot of big power supply. If you talk about laboratory, maybe you have more options, because laboratory have like smaller kVA option. You can choose supplier, other brands. But if we talk about large one, we are the #1 branding in the world. So now we can supply for you for different frequency range, and we also accept a custom product as well. So if you have like a certain voltage or frequency you want to do, you can let us know. Like, we have a customer, they're doing like a railway, so they need like 30 hertz, very 100 hertz, 200 hertz, very unusual frequency, and we also do that sometimes for them. But we will evaluate if we can do it or not. So here is a comparison. If you are using motor generator for changing the frequency, and you are using a variable transformer, you can look into that, because in the AFC frequency converter is a lot way more advantage. That's why a lot of our customer, once they use AFC, they never turn on their motor generator again, because motor generator is too noisy and they have to put outside the building, and sometimes it's diesel, so you have to put a lot of diesel in there. It's not environmental friendly, especially in the United States. Some area is very cold. So if the testing engineer, they are going to test, they have to go outside and turn on the machine, and they cannot operate that very easy. So that's why once they have the AFC, they don't use, they just leave their motor generators outside, never turn it on again. So I think, but a lot of advantage, not, but also the efficiency. Okay, so the efficiency is way higher, so you will save a lot of your electricity bill. Okay, then the rest of time we want to talk a little bit about the DC power supply. I think DC power supply is getting more and more popular in Mexico, because the automotive testing 90% involved with the DC power supply. So no matter you are using for the car lighting, like a car media system, car air conditioner, car inverter, battery. Right now in US, one thing is very hot. It's called the energy storage, or the EV car, electrical vehicle testing. So if you involved in this industry, or like PV inverter, like solar inverter industry, you will need the DC power supply for sure. And for our company, for Preen, we manufacture we don't manufacture below 4 kilowatt DC power supply, because below 4 kilowatt, too many brands you can choose right now. We are not in that market. So we focus more on above 4 kilowatt all the way to 100 or 500 kilowatt. Because the DC power supply, we can do the parallel connected. So we can support the 4 kilowatt market to all the way to 500 kilowatt market. So that's why, but it's different series. For 4 kilowatt, 8 kilowatt, and 12 kilowatt, usually we use ADG-L series. It's a rack mount unit. But above 30 kilowatt, we use called ADG-P series, which is the standalone, like with the wheels, casters on the bottom. And I believe, like right now, we don't have the low voltage version for the ADG-L series, but we are working on that right now. So we are working hard. Right now, ADG-L series start from 160 volts and above. So, but they support the auto range function, which means you can pull more voltage and current when you are in the low, pull more current in the low voltage range. So, but for the ADG-P series, it starts from 30 kilowatt. But this model, we can support low voltage version, like 40 volts, 60 volts. We can support all of that, and all the way to 1600 volts. So a lot of our customer use for like fuse testing, component testing, for the ADG-P series, and LED testing as well. So this is the HMI, the touchscreen looks like, and you can set up this is a PC, you can remote control the machine by RS-485, or optional with Ethernet, different options. You can connect with a machine remotely. And for the machine, you can do the step or the gradual, like for some cycling, burning testing, you can change different voltage. A lot of time, our customer, they doing the test is for almost a week. So they doing like long-term cycling test, and for running on their product. So they need a cycling. This one can support very, very big cycle, like a 9999 cycle. So 9,999 cycles. So it's pretty long. You can use for very like we call it aging testing, sometimes called burn-in testing. It's very good for that application. So in the last part, we want to talk about is that Preen, we support the power solution, not only the laboratory usage, but I think we are good in the production line facility power, because we have the reason we say that, because we have a large kVA power, and also we also have a power conditioner and industrial UPS product. So that's a very good combination, that if you have any power problems in your facility, we will always be happy to help. So here, just give you some idea of the how the customer they use it. Like they have a burn chamber here, and they use a power supply to support their product inside. The test unit is inside the chamber. Like if you are motor, server, anything, the power supply is providing different voltage for the testing unit, and the clean power, like different frequency. So this is a very typical customer use it. And this is in working chamber as well. One power supply supports one laundry machine. So they have about like 40 or 50 of the power supply to support like doing the like cycling task inside the chamber. And this is the light chamber, this is salt chamber, weathering chamber. Most of them, they have a power supply just beside that, because they never, in the laboratory, they never know what voltage their customer or they are going to manufacture. For example, today I manufacture 120 motor, but maybe next week I need to manufacture 220 motor. So they need something that can just adjust the voltage and adjust the frequency. And this is a bigger one, like a 60 kVA, that is a chamber application as well. This is a compressor application. They are doing the aging testing for their air conditioner. And this is dust chamber. And EMC chamber. So why the customer, they can use our power supply for their EMC, EMI testing, because one thing they concerned about is the EMI conductive noise. So if your power source is not clean enough, and you provide a testing unit inside the EMC chamber, you cannot measure the EMI, the real noise of your testing unit. So you need a very good quality of the EMI noise, low EMI noise. So this is why our power supply is good for that. So if you just hook up in the grid system and go into the test unit inside, you may have to use a lot of filters, to make sure that the power is clean enough, but it's very difficult. Yeah. So that's why a lot of our customers in Canada, in US, they use it this way for powering up their testing unit inside. And this is for GE server testing system. Okay, so I want to thank you for everybody's time to come. But any question you can put in the chat that I can try to reply you, everybody. How fast? Oh, sorry, I got your. I got a question here. How fast can the power source compensate the current if I have jump in my profile, for example, from 2 amp to 5 amp, and keep it in my testing device? What consideration do I need to have in this kind of test? So looks, I'm not sure. Is this you're talking about is the DC power supply or AC power supply? Hello? May I know who asked the question here? Oh, DC power supply. Okay, good. So yeah, for DC power supply, we can you can set up as a CC mode. So because Let me show you a little bit. So in here, that you can set up in CC mode, because CC mode you can set up different current. So which means when the current hit the limit, it will limit the current in a constant like 2 amp and jump to 5 amp. So, and you can do a different cycling testing. So like we want 2 amp here, 5 amp here, 2 amp here, 5 amp here. So you can set up different profile for that. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Okay, I think that maybe a lot of time is for like a fuse testing. Okay, cool. Thank you. Any other question?
Brian, we have two more questions.
Okay.
The first one is from Roberto Lizalde, and he asked, do you have information about how efficient print power sources are?
Say that again, sorry. Print power
Do you have information about how efficient print power sources are?
Oh, we have a different product. So typically our AC power supply, the efficiency is about 90%. And but we have like if the customer they have a very high efficiency one, we have a different like a topology. So DC power supply, usually we have a PFC in front, usually it's about 95 or to 97%. But AC source, we have the other model called a PAS, which is have a PFC in front. So that one can reach almost like 99%, 95 to 95%. Yeah, very high efficiency. But if you talk about a power conditioner, usually power conditioner doesn't involve with the energy, conversion. So usually it can have a higher efficiency, like 98, 99%. But usually if you talk about like some power conversions, you will have a efficiency loss. Yeah. But I believe like 90% is pretty good. It's better than should be better than a motor generator. Motor generator usually is about like 60% or 70%. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Yeah.
Hola.
Yes, and the second one is which is a higher current level in the output for frequency converter you can build?
A higher current? Say that again, sorry. I cannot hear that.
Which is the higher current level in the output for frequency converter you can build?
We can provide the high what model, what high is the current we can provide, right? Is that your question?
Let me see.
So like the AFV series, we can provide the 3-phase one. So you can see the Mexican current here up to 4,400 amp or 2,000 amp. So but different model. So I'm not sure which model the customer is asking for. We have different from the small one to the very big one. Is that answer? Sorry, is that answer your question? So if the customer can let me know how much current they need, and we can provide better suggestion. So, okay, one thing I want to remind everybody is that especially for the motor type load, when you like a motor type load, usually they have a nominal current, for example, like 5 amp. But when you start it up, usually it will have like 3 times, 5 times inrush current. So how can you overcome that? So in our power supply, if you for the AFV series, we for most of power supply manufacturer, if you want to overcome that inrush current, you need to plan. You know, like if you are inrush up to 100 amp, you need to choose like a 30 kVA, something like that. But for our, you can tell us that how long is your inrush, and how much current it will require for the inrush. Sometimes we can choose the lower kVA one, but we enlarge the IGBT and to help you to overcome the inrush for beginning. But depends on the what kind of testing you are doing. So sometimes the customer say, oh, I want to test the lock rotor testing. They need to continuously have the startup current. That's different. So you may have to choose the 30 kVA one or with 100. But if you just want to with the no load testing, and you just want to power up the motor, we can help with that. You don't have to choose such a big one and save you some money, and we can choose a small one and help you to overcome the inrush current. Any other question? So sorry, is that answer the question? Hello?
Yes, the client said that he saw what he asked.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions we have here?
No, we don't have questions. Okay.
Yeah, any questions? And again, thank you for everybody's coming for the meeting. And I really appreciate have an opportunity to have a present here. And if you guys have any power questions or any issue, just let me know. Usually, sometimes I will tell you like you don't have to waste money to buy the power supply. Just find something on Amazon. So we will just give you a right suggestion, and make sure that you save your money to do something else, but not choose the right one. But sometimes we will recommend you the right solutions. Well, we don't want when you choose it, but something happened after you have it. And we are more focused on the long-term operation. So we don't want something that you have it for 1 year, it is damaged already. So we want that the machine can work like 10 years, 20 years. Yeah, that's our goal. So thank you. Muchas gracias por todos y mucho gusto. Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. We really appreciate your time and the presentation you gave to us. We kept in touch, and thank you again.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bueno, ahora, una vez terminado el webinar de Preen, me gustaría comentarles que si tuvieran alguna duda adicional o quisieran recibir información acerca de algún producto en específico, estamos en la mejor disposición de hacerlo. Y por último, los invitamos el día de mañana a que participen con nosotros en los siguientes webinars que estaremos impartiendo. Mañana a partir de las 11 de la mañana tendremos el primer webinar que será impartido por el ingeniero Santiago Reyes con el tema de sensores acústicos robustos. A la 1, la importancia de probar en un laboratorio acreditado por el ingeniero Verónica Vega. Y a las 4 de la tarde, tips para pruebas de vibración en shock por el ingeniero Ryan Becker.